In Europe, a trade earthquake is shaking Switzerland, a nation long renowned for its exquisite watches, premium chocolate, and enduring neutrality. From midnight on August the 7th, Washington time, the United States recorded high 39% import tariff officially took effect, placing Switzerland's key import sector under unprecedented pressure. Amid a wave of public and business backlash, the Swiss government is urgently seeking a way through diplomatic negotiations. Stay with us as we follow this tense development.
On August 7th, Swiss President Keller-Sutter stated that the country would continue negotiations with the United States after President Donald Trump imposed import tariffs that harm Swiss goods, posing a serious threat to its export-oriented economy.
The Federal Council will, of course, continue to strive to improve the customs situation. It will fight for this. It will commit itself to this cause. It will continue to negotiate intensively with the aim of achieving an improvement within a reasonable period of time. However, this ultimately lies in the hands of the American president. It is therefore right that Switzerland should also take internal measures to prepare for difficult times. The situation now is that we want to continue these negotiations. We also want a regulated relationship with the United States. It is an important trading partner. But we also said today that this should not come at any price. We've already had other, more difficult situations, and now we just have to work. And in some cases, we have emerged stronger from such situations. Sometimes it takes a little external pressure to get things moving internally. I am neither a clairvoyant nor a psychologist. We will simply prepare the ground as best we can and do everything possible to ensure that this tariff rate can still be negotiated down. I mean, it's not exactly great to have 15%, right?
The 39% import tariff, one of the highest imposed under Trump's global trade restructuring policy, took effect at midnight Washington time, 0400 GMT, after last-minute efforts by Swiss officials failed to secure a better deal. These tariffs will restrict the small Alpine nation's access to the United States, a leading export market for Swatch, Rolex, and Patek Philippe watches, as well as premium cheese and chocolate.
Important Swiss export sectors are affected by these additional customs duties of 39%. These include watchmaking, machinery, medical devices, and food products such as coffee, energy drinks, chocolate, and cheese.
Monsieur Humbel?
At present, no real macroeconomic crisis is foreseeable, and I emphasize the word macroeconomic because individually it's clear that companies are sometimes hit hard, comparable, for example, to the pandemic. However, uncertainty remains extremely high. A further deterioration in the international economic situation cannot be ruled out.
Madame Vuemi?
Of course, the problem, if you'll pardon the expression, is that in the end, you may have the best possible agreement with Department A, with 2 or 3 departments. The President of the United States has to approve it and then give his opinion. And then he decides whether it will ultimately work. And you have seen with other countries how he himself announces the news. We have recorded this way of doing things. It is not a definitive guarantee either if you look at what is currently happening with other countries.
Keller-Sutter left Washington on August 6th without reaching an agreement after a hastily arranged trip during which she did not meet with Trump or any of his top trade representatives, according to 2 sources. Her proposal for a 10% tariff was rejected by U.S. officials, one of the sources said. Residents in Geneva said they were shocked when the United States imposed import tariffs harming Swiss goods on August 7th, a move that threatens to cause serious damage to the country's export-oriented economy.
It shocks me. I'm very scared for what will happen in Switzerland, for all these small companies that will pay mainly. And then I understand the country that wants to bring back everything, of course. But on the other hand, making small countries like us pay, I find that, well, I won't say unfair. It's a bit stupid, but it's shocking, worrying.
I would say it's shocking. And then, really, for me personally, it's more about boycotting traveling to the United States. And then why not do the same as they're doing? All these products to implement an additional tax. There's no reason.
But I think we are dealing with a character who has a good day, a bad day, a neutral day. I think it's very difficult to negotiate with a character like that. He's a businessman who only thinks of his country. That's why he was elected. Maybe Switzerland was a bit too soft in the negotiations.
We thought theoretically that we would be at a lower tariff than Europe because we have lowered VAST, because generally we have, I think, pretty positive relations with the US. And then lo and behold, we find out that it's actually going the opposite way, 39%, which is kind of a game over number for us. It basically cuts the US market as a possibility for export of vintage watches entirely, because it's not feasible to fully declare a watch with the currency being as low as it is. Right now, we're living the nightmare that we had hoped wouldn't come to be. You kind of like wake up in the morning and you're like, no, that wasn't real. And it is. I've pinched myself like it's real, but we're going to adapt. And in any case, I feel like this is not going to be forever. I think that this is just going to be a difficult period where we're basically going to have to put the American market kind of on pause, focus on domestic sales. So our Swiss market, we have our shop.
Entre la Suisse et les États-Unis, et que the impact could be very strong on the Swiss economy. It is anticipated that if the 39% of import lasts, let's say, in 12 months or more, it could have a negative effect on the Swiss growth of 0.5%. And as you might know, the expectation for 2025 is 1% of growth. So it will cut the potential growth in half, I would say. So the indirect impact could be more unemployment in the Swiss economy. C'est que, en fait, ces trois secteurs ou ces trois segments sont ceux qui ont... Et on était persuadés que les discussions apparemment constructives... I think that the Swiss government misunderstood that Mr. Trump is different than Mr. Biden or Mr. Obama. He thinks differently. He's just looking at figures. He thinks he's right. There is this psychological aspect that you have to look at. Even if you disagree with the man, with Mr. Trump, you have to look at this psychological, I would say, part when you negotiate with him.
Yes, I think that we can indeed remain positive, knowing Trump and what is happening in the United States, to tell ourselves that it is not something that is frozen in time, and that in any case, there will certainly perhaps be reactions and things that will evolve.
Well,
Le problème
hope
avec
so.
le
The
président
problem with
Trump,
President
c'est
Trump is
qu'on
that
sait
we
jamais,
never know what's
ce qui est vrai,
true,
ce qui est faux,
what's
on sait
false.
jamais,
We never know
où
where
il va
he's going to
aller,
go,
s'il
if
va
he's going to get worse, if
empirer,
he's
si
going
tout
to
d'un coup
suddenly
il va
back off, if
descendre,
he's
s'il
doing
fait
this
ça
to
pour
annoy
ennuyer les
people,
gens,
if
s'il
he's
fait
doing
ça
this
pour,
to show his
pour
power.
montrer son
So we're
pouvoir.
not
Donc,
sure of anything.
on est
In
sûr de
fact,
rien.
we're
En
not
fait, on est
sure
sûr
of
de
anything.
rien.
He's
En fait,
playing
il
with
joue avec
us.
nous, quoi. Il
He's
joue totalement
totally
avec
playing
nous.
with us.
Ouais.
Je pense que ça va être du gros travail de diplomatie maintenant en sous-main pour essayer de
I
renverser
think
la vapeur
there's
et de
going to be a
montrer aux
lot of
États-Unis que
diplomatic
la Suisse
work
est
now in the
capable
background
de faire,
to try to turn
de
the
proposer des choses
tide and show the
intéressantes versus ça.
United States
Toujours été un
that
pays
Switzerland is capable
et un
of
pays
offering
qui est,
interesting
comment dire,
things. Switzerland has always been a
on
country,
est neutre,
is
on
a
est
country
des grands
that
médiateurs.
is,
Je pense
how can I
que
put it? We are
je reste
neutral,
confiant.
we are great
Il y aura un
mediators.
impact au départ,
I think I
mais
remain confident. There will be an impact at the start, but I don't see a
je vois pas
disaster for the
un
Swiss economy
désastre
for
pour
the
l'instant,
moment.
sur l'économie suisse.
Some sources indicate that the United States may not immediately impose strict measures on transshipped goods due to the lack of clear guidelines on rules of origin and a specific definition of the act of re-exporting goods. Meanwhile, some countries are still making efforts to negotiate with the U.S. or find measures to avoid high tariffs.
Despite the uncertainties lying ahead, Switzerland affirms it will persistently pursue negotiations while preparing domestic contingency measures to mitigate the impact of tariff barriers. This story is not only a test of economic resilience, but also the flexibility and diplomatic prowess of this Alpine nation. And we will continue to update you with the latest international news. Thank you for your attention and for following us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with our upcoming videos.